Builders are building and investors are waiting to see this next version of the internet. To tell us everything about this advancement, we have Mr. Amit Singh, founder of Social Ally and Polka.India, India, talking to us about the future of Metaverse. A big round of applause here, and Mr. Amit Singh, please come up on the stage. A big round of applause for him, come on.
Hi guys. Alright, my name is Amit Singh. I'm the founder and CEO of Socially. We build interoperable Web3 metaverses for a different set of customer segments, Web3 DAOs, communities, brands. Today I'm going to be talking about the future that we are living into in the form of the Metaverse. Before we jump further, I would love to know a little about the builders in the room, the enthusiasts, the crypto traders, etc. So how many of you are actually building something on the Metaverse here? Oh, lovely. Okay. How many of you are curious about the Metaverse and are here to learn something new or interesting? Thank you so much. Post and such high turnout. How many of you will not raise your hand no matter what question I ask? Hey, love you guys. Awesome. Alright. So, 2030, imagine, you wake up from your bed, first thing in the morning, instead of going for your phone, you're actually going for a pair of glasses, sleek, slender glasses, possibly by a company like Apple, and you get your entire update from your social feed right there, then and there. You fix yourself a coffee, talk to your spouse who's in another city for work, video call, live interactive, put your glasses aside, get ready to leave for work. Your work, again, would take you to multiple meetings with your colleagues sitting in Delhi and Bombay, and it's very immersive, very interactive, potentially in a completely virtual environment. You have a meeting with your lead engineer in Shenzhen, where there's a digital twin of your factory set up there in China, and your details of your product are being spoken to by her and translated to you, and you have another meeting in a similar virtual environment with your boss sitting in Dubai, where those exact details have been translated as a 3D object with the specific details and data that you have added on top of it. Long, heavy day at work, you come back home and decide to chill on the Metaverse. You have your own home that you go into, put on your VR glasses, this is the environment that you set up in. Suddenly you remember, oh, I need to order groceries because wifey is not at home, I'll have to fix some Maggi for myself tonight. And so you go into Swiggy Instamart, which from within your environment, your own smart glasses itself, and you see an infinite aisle of products. If you're wearing haptic gloves, you will actually be able to see the whole ingredient, feel how it actually feels on the hand, turn it around, see the ingredients of whatever that item is, drop it into your bag, authorize the payment, seamless checkout happens, and 30 minutes, while we are living in India, so our delivery will happen in 30 minutes. You've got all these things home delivered, right? And that is when you, does it click? Yeah, that is when you might go ahead and decide to, hey, check out, explore some other worlds, play some games. This is the interior of a home maybe. All your NFTs or artifacts that you've earned in your crypto games or in your, anything like a Fortnite could be shown for display. You can host parties, etc. in this whole virtual setting. This is something that you own and control, and you move forward. Wow, very interesting. So an interesting video has got a list over here, but genuinely there will be compatibility issues. If you know of Decentraland and Sandbox, two different Web3 virtual worlds. Anybody Web3 Sandbox familiar? Right? See the avatars that you have on. Now this is not working at all now. So guys, just see if you can get to my previous slide. Yeah. Now we've moved forward. One more behind. After this. Doesn't matter now. So you will notice that your avatar and in one particular virtual world, this is the right one, thank you, is not compatible with another virtual world, right? Today you have to go to a new website, go to a new, change the network to that blockchain, maybe load new different avatars, etc. And then you can actually do something meaningful in a new virtual world. All of this will be under the blocks. Like today we use the internet, We don't talk about the underlying protocols of the internet, like SMTP for using Gmail, WebRTC for Zoom, or WebSockets, etc. for WhatsApp, etc. We don't have to care about it. We just go seamlessly from one app to another, doing whatever we want to do. Right? It'll be very, very similar. So we believe Gartner also kind of validates that when Metaverse is going to be built in phases, it's going to be like a continuous development stage. We are in the very early stages of the Metaverse. Right now, Web3 is playing an important role in trying to define protocols, self-custody of assets, data, etc. Going forward, there will be more focus of Web 2, Web 3, virtual worlds, becoming interoperable, some standards coming into play. Standards are again, the Metaverse Standards Forum is one of the largest bodies which is working on this particular aspects. All the big hitters in the Web 2 space are over here contributing to these standards. It includes, W3C and IETF. We guys are also part of these groups trying to create this, future Metaverse and making it happen. Late 2020s is when a truly seamless, holistic, immersive Metaverse would really be there for use by everybody, and that is the kind of life that I was talking about earlier. So, in this mature Metaverse space, there are going to be like about 2 billion people, readily using the Metaverse, spending significant amount of their time on the Metaverse. There will be people who will be earning completely on the Metaverse, and you will be identified via a virtual identity. It could be your wallet address, it could be your NFT, it could be an identity that you have got from any of these virtual worlds or the platforms. In this mature Metaverse, there are going to be like several things that will be very, very distinct from where we are today. First, of course, there will be way more users, there will be better infrastructure. These virtual worlds will actually be rendered on the cloud and streamed down using your 60 connections, your 1 Gbps 60 connections. Right? NVIDIA is already working on making all of this virtual rendering possible, and early prototypes of this particular future is already there. It will be interoperable, as I shared earlier. It will be fully immersive. When I say fully immersive, you'll literally be able to feel, of course, look at, and maybe even smell the stuff that you are interacting with in this virtual world. AR and mixed reality will be so hyper realistic that you literally be able to see the person in front of you the way they look, and it won't be avtarified at all. Of course, data protection. Tons of data is going to be created, your digital footprint on the Metaverse, and whether it stays with you, it stays with the corporation that is managing that Metaverse, or a lot of regulatory compliances are going to come into play to protect user privacy and consumer rights overall. And of course, it will be a very, very, very vibrant economy. Like multiple people have picked this economy to be like $1 trillion, $5 trillion by McKinsey. Certain banks and their reports have called it $8 trillion, $11 trillion, $13 trillion economies. Matthew Ball wrote a seminal book on the topic. He calls it a $30 trillion economy, right? But everybody's talking trillions, and that is like huge going forward. But to make this kind of a future happen, there are certain challenges that we will have to overcome. These and to understand these challenges, let's just talk about different layers at which the Metaverse operates. This is immensely simplified. There's a foundational layer, so we'll have all our protocols, the hardware infrastructure, etc., the regulatory frameworks, and how these need to be tied in to be at the foundational layer. Above that, there will be a bunch of companies, startups that will be building their own virtual worlds. Within these virtual worlds, there will be identity, ownership of various different objects, create communication mediums, etc. These virtual worlds will be able to talk to each other, transfer these assets, identities, data amongst themselves, and this by itself will be like super valuable. Lastly, we will, all of us will end up using one or many of these virtual worlds to socialize, to earn, to play, to create, etc. Now, the key challenges will be in the area of maturity of AR, VR, mixed reality headsets. They really need to become sleek and not as bulky as they are. Oculus Quest Pro is already fantastic, right? And this part I feel will really get addressed. Scalability. Now every metaverse is at the end of the day rendered, in a game engine, something like a Unity or Unreal, requires a lot of compute. That being a persistent connection where so many people are using it in parallel, being able to transfer stuff in parallel requires a lot of new tech to be developed, new standards and protocols to be developed also. Next part is regulations. Like I was mentioning earlier, like if you walk across a particular metaverse, that blade of grass that got depressed with your foot, is it really important to store that data? Most likely not. But somebody has to really decide what's valuable, what's not valuable. What do you store? Where do you store? Do you relay it back to the user? Do you let the user hold custody? And these things will then need to also get translated into protocols that are set in stone, set in code. User privacy, already touched upon it, and the last piece, interoperability. I'm going to talk a little more about interoperability because I guess this is where all the hardcore engineering and a lot of engineering that's going to happen in India is going to work out. So interoperability happens at multiple different layers. The bottom layer is connectivity, which is essentially just the infra layer where different parties should be able to relay communication data to each other. If we are talking Web3, we are talking about the bridges that allow you to transfer your data and assets between two different blockchains. But it goes on. Above that is persistence. So your identity, ownership. So this is maintaining the state of a particular virtual world. Right? And blockchains, of course, preserve state by default, but they are also going to be centralized virtual worlds that will be having some kind of data to preserve that state. Somebody moved this object over here from here to there. The next person should see that all that stuff relates to state. And the next level is presentation. Pixar has created a USD format for 3D objects. There are GIFs, there are PNGs, etc. When it comes to images. Similar stuff for 3D, all aren't able to talk to each other. You can't really figure out, one particular pixel mesh and use and identify what kind of an object this particular thing is in this format automatically. All these things need to be defined together. Next level above that is meaning, and this is where things become particularly interesting. It is if there is a user, wearing a hat and a cloak and has a broom on the side. In one particular virtual world, it will be a Halloween costume for that person. In another world, this is actually this guy is a wizard and he's able to move around in that broom and fly. Right? So these properties give meaning to different objects, and that is the next layer. And even these need to be able to, different worlds should be able to communicate what does what mean. And here we're kind of getting the complexity that we're getting into over here, right? Yes, no, maybe? Oh man. Okay. Behavior, last piece. This is the most important layer because at the end of the day, it should make sense for people to want to talk to each other also. So there are technical aspects of it, of course, but then there are financial, commercial aspects. For example, why should I let you have your NFTs in my ecosystem? Then it should be very strong incentive. And these behavioral changes finding that equilibrium where it just makes sense for people to collaborate and interoperate is very, very important and needs to be discovered and figured out. So these are different aspects of interoperability that will be required to be overcome or to be addressed for the future that we spoke about to become a reality. Now, the most important part for all the entrepreneurs in the room who want to build something on the metaverse. Now, there are so many different areas. I'm just going to talk about them quickly and even share some guidelines on which ones are going to be long-term and definitely worth building. Over here, we have a very interesting use case for education. I think education for sure is going to be a long-term metaverse play. Gaming, immersive social networks, events, virtual tourism, education, shopping, offices, like all the work that you end up doing, and NFT DAOs. All of these guys will have, these categories will have early adoption in the metaverse, and I'm talking about this year and the next couple of years. Entertainment is going to rule the roost. A lot of heavy investments have been made in this particular area for, by gaming companies, by companies like Unity, Roblox, etc., creating environments so people can collaborate. Virtual events, you going and socializing on the metaverse via your avatars, etc., is going to be another area which will find quick adoption. Chingari most likely will be one of the major social networks from India which might go in that particular direction. They've already primed themselves for this kind of future. You would of course be able to play a lot of things with others. It's just a more realistic version of chess that you're playing. This is an augmented reality application, and the world is already has something like this today. Anybody knows who this dude is?
Marshmallow.
Everybody does. Many of you do. Great. So this is already happening. This is still from Fortnite, one of the larger metaverse bashes, and so many from Ariana Grande to not remembering, but many guys have had done brilliant virtual events on the metaverse, which are really exciting. In India, the Lane Mendi also did one, which was on 26th of January this year. Right? Some more non-entertaining use cases, like in Seoul, South Korea, a procedure was actually relayed from doctors sitting in the US in a 3D environment, something similar to what we are looking at over here. Now, even this tech will become mature enough at some point in time in the future to aid doctors. And even if it is not utilized in real-time surgeries because it's mission critical, at least for education, it will for sure be utilized. And I'm aware of some startups that are already working in this particular area. Everybody's seen the Meta videos. Right, and this is your landing screen from the Oculus Quest. How many of you have Oculus Quest at home? Quest 2 Pro, awesome, right? So this kind of socializing, etc., for sure. We are already getting primed for it. Meta is not there yet, but there are so many apps in the Oculus ecosystem that are already trying to achieve this kind of a social networking effect. Another use case, education. It's just not about being able to translate things into 3D and teaching students that. It translates to augmented stuff, a real piano, but you being able to see exactly what need to hit, real time, etc. Games, fun. This kind of goes on. I wanted to put one slide about what also work will get done though. It's not getting over, finally does. Right, so digital twins is very important aspect of metaverse. Big, larger corporates are going to be adopting metaverse largely for that, primarily to help their AI and machine learning models to work along with these simulated digital twins of machinery and other aspects before we start using it for more consumer use cases like the ones that I spoke about earlier. So this is an interesting area where a lot of work is happening, where a lot of money is also right now. Metaverse-based classrooms, for sure. Several metaverse native companies will come into emergence because of various needs that are there to create these 3D virtual worlds, to be able to say train the AI that has to operate in these metaverses, etc. Interactive sporting events, and using a lot of data that is generated to make real-time insights and really augment a live event with some data that is in parallel. This is going to be a very an important thing. Training is going to be a very important area. Almost every company which spends a lot of money training people on mission critical stuff like oil and gas industry, automotive industry, is going to have these virtual digital twins on which people will be operating using these VR headsets, and they will also be graded using the same. And this is an interesting area for sure, which has a lot of demand even in today's day and age and today's market. In the healthcare, we've already looked at some retail. A lot of data being encapsulated along with this retail experience will be pretty interesting. I could not find like a good video for the Swiggy experience that I was talking about, but that will come into being for sure. Manufacturing we've spoken about. So yeah, so in a nutshell, where we are headed is an open metaverse, an interoperable metaverse, It'll be secure and protected, and we'll figure this stuff out. And it is kind of scary if we don't figure this out. Somebody could just take care of our identity and wreak havoc with everything else that we're doing. It'll be fully immersive, sight, touch, smell, who knows, maybe taste might also come at that day. So synthetic food is already being generated in the world today, we don't know where we're headed there. Ubiquitous networking, and this will happen with 6G, 7G by that time. NFTs on the blockchain, and NFT will give us gated access to almost everything, and so NFTs will become hardcore utilities in the days to come. They won't just be limited to pieces of art which have speculative value. The tech will get upgraded a lot, and we will end up simulating a bunch of things in the mixed reality environment, which we can't even imagine right now. And that's essentially about Metaverse. We guys are we are building social dApps and essentially Metaverses for different use cases. And everybody's going to have their home in the Metaverse by 2030. You guys can have it now at Socially via one of the projects that we guys do called Meta Home. That's all from my side. I'll be happy to take questions.
I've been looking into Metaverse. So I just want to know what has actually accelerated us, because this concept of Metaverse has been there from a long time. It started with Google Glasses. Not exactly Metaverse, but augmented reality and things like that. So what has suddenly accelerated us to look into Metaverses and things like that?
Yeah. So behind closed doors, larger companies have been looking for what is the next phase of the internet. So as early as 2014, 2015, there are on the leaked documents from Facebook where they mentioned that this is our battle to lose, right? And so Metaverse looked at as the next evolution of the internet. Now, early stages of the internet started as long back with mainframes, 1950s. All right, it's not really the internet, but of computing, let's say. Right, so 1950s to 1980s. Then the next phase was the personal computer phase, and that, along with the internet, led to an explosion, and every house ended up having a PC and having access to internet. The next phase was the social phase, where everybody had an account, in one of these big tech platforms, and being able to do a lot of stuff. And each phase is smaller than the previous one, it's bigger in terms of value than the previous one, and all the big tech companies are, where the money of the world is always wanting to see what is this next evolution going to be like. So from nearly about 7-8 years ago, people have been looking at this, and they have kind of arrived at this fact that the next one's going to be Metaverse. There were some technical challenges that came in the way of it being there. One was, virtual reality was extremely expensive. Augmented reality, of course, has not come of age for a very, very long time. But yeah, virtual reality by itself, the frame rate, etc., it would lead to dizziness. And even these headsets, the way they got created, were too expensive, to become affordable for mainstream, adoption. Right now is that critical juncture where many of these headsets are adopted. Right, many of you in this room today have a VR headset. It was just 3 years ago, an Oculus Quest 2 was 1.5 lakh rupees, 2 years ago, right? So that is one part. The other part is, in terms of connectivity and bandwidth. 2014 wasn't as connected as we guys are today. 5G, not as prevalent in the world, but it gives 100 Mbps to almost every user, which is quite necessary for this kind of a reality to exist. There are multiple technologies that are kind of coming at convergence, haven't converged yet, but it's at that convergence that this whole explosive reality becomes possible, and we are close to it right now, and that is why this whole interest. But very long answer to your question, sorry, but in reality it is about where the money of the world is, and the investors of the world finding what is the next big thing which is going to multiply my money 100x, and that is the Metaverse according to them.
How are you handling the identity aspect of the dApps which you are creating on CC?
How are we handling the identity aspect?
Yes.
Right. So, first phase is us being able to just create multiple virtual worlds within our own network. Within our own network, we have the ability to really handle identity in a way that we have defined it ourselves. We guys are built on Polkadot, and we are using Kill protocol behind the scenes, to use it. But after a while, we guys decided to just build our own. Okay, wonderful. So we tried you guys and then we decided to build our own. And maybe we'll talk about it. Sure. But yeah.
We are not even aware that you're building on us.
Sorry?
We are not even aware you're building on us.
Yes. So that's the major play.
That was maybe a surprise. Any further questions, guys? Anyone? I guess no. But anyway, thank you so much, Amit sir.
Thank you.
Definitely a great session. And a big round of applause for him, please.